Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the life of Ali ibn Abi Talib today. Early Islam is a fascinating period, and we've got this incredible lecture by Dr. Omar Suleiman to guide us, plus some notes I've jotted down.
Yeah, Ali's story is really something else. He wasn't just close to the Prophet Muhammad, their lives were completely intertwined.
Right from the start, it seems. I mean, Ali was born, what, like 10 years before the Prophet even received revelation?
Yeah.
And Dr. Suleiman mentions he was born into poverty. That had to shape him.
Oh, absolutely. Poverty really impacts your worldview. And then you add in the fact that his mother, Fatima bint Asad, was the first woman from the Prophet's tribe to accept Islam. She was a real trailblazer. That took courage.
Wow, so he's exposed to this incredible faith from infancy, and then gets raised by the Prophet and Khadijah. Talk about a unique upbringing.
It's pretty remarkable. Imagine seeing those early days of Islam firsthand, watching the Prophet and Khadijah praying.
It had to instill a deep sense of loyalty and sacrifice, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's that what if Dr. Suleiman brings up. The Prophet almost adopted Ali.
Oh, yeah, that would change everything. I mean, just think how different Islamic history might be.
It's mind-blowing to consider.
Yeah.
But even without that formal adoption, they were incredibly close.
For sure. Ali was under constant scrutiny. The weight of expectations must have been immense.
But it wasn't all serious, right? There's that story about Ali and the Prophet teasing each other about eating all the dates.
Yeah, I love that story. It really humanizes them. Shows you they still had a sense of humor amidst all the pressure of building a new religion.
And speaking of humor, there's that nickname the Prophet gave Ali, Abu Turab, meaning father of dust.
And he loved it.
It is a great nickname. Why do you think he treasured it so much?
Humility, I think. He didn't care about titles or anything like that. That simple nickname perfectly captured their bond.
So we have Ali shaped by poverty, his mother's faith, and this intimate connection to the Prophet. But he's also witnessing these pivotal early moments. Dr. Suleiman points out that Ali saw the Prophet and Khadijah praying the very night of the first revelation. He was so young then.
It must have been an incredible experience for a young boy, you know? No wonder he embraced Islam so young.
And what's amazing is even as a child, he showed real maturity. When the Prophet invited him to Islam, he wanted to discuss it with his father first.
Yeah, that says a lot about his character. He understood how serious converting to Islam was, especially back then.
And it was a dangerous time to be Muslim. I mean, think about it. He publicly declared his support for the Prophet when others stayed quiet.
That's true conviction right there. A young boy standing up for his beliefs in the face of persecution.
Talk about courage. And then there's the night of the Hijrah. Assassins are coming for the Prophet, and Ali volunteers to sleep in his bed.
I can't even imagine the selflessness.
He was ready to face those attackers. It solidified his place in the hearts of Muslims forever.
It's more than courage. It speaks to the depth of his faith and his devotion to the Prophet.
And after that, the Prophet entrusts him with returning all the valuables he was holding in trust before fleeing Mecca.
Wow, that shows you the level of confidence the Prophet had in him.
He was more than just a loyal companion. He was capable and responsible, even at such a young age. And then he does the Hijrah to Medina, but on foot.
On foot, they couldn't even afford an animal for the trip.
Dr. Suleiman highlights how poor they were.
It's amazing. Another example of his resilience and dedication. Nothing could stop him from reaching the Prophet.
It really is remarkable how much he did in those early years. His loyalty, the sacrifice, his faith. It's an incredible story so far.
It is. And we're just getting started. Wait till we dive into the dynamics between Ali and the Prophet, the playfulness, the deep respect, the real closeness they shared, and of course, those virtues that set Ali apart.
Those little stories, those personal moments, really make figures like Ali come alive. Like that time he was sent to find potential converts near the Kaaba.
Almost like a spy mission, right?
Yeah. It gives you the glimpse into those very early days of Islam.
Yeah.
And the trust the Prophet already had in him.
Even then, he was tasked with finding people who might be receptive to the message.
He had a real knack for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he found Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, who became a really important companion.
Yeah. It's amazing how those acts of courage and faith, they ripple outward.
They really do. And that courage, it wasn't just when he was young. The Battle of Khaybar, Dr. Suleiman mentions this hadith, where the Prophet says he'll give the banner to someone who loves Allah and his messenger.
And he gives it to Ali.
Of course. Talk about an honor to be recognized like that.
It really affirmed his piety, and his skill as a warrior.
And it also shows something deeper, right?
Exactly. Ali wasn't driven by ambition. He didn't need the recognition. It was pure love for Allah and his messenger.
But even with that closest to the Prophet, there were challenges. Dr. Suleiman talks about the hypocrites and how they hated Ali. Who were these hypocrites?
Basically, there were people who said they were Muslim, but they weren't really, often working against the Prophet and his followers.
Wow. So even those early days, there was this opposition from within.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even within a faith community, building a just society is hard. It's a process.
And Ali faced those challenges head on.
He did, with grace and resilience.
And it didn't stop there, this kind of criticism. Dr. Suleiman draws a parallel to Imam Shafi.
Yeah, centuries later, he was labeled a Shi'i just because he spoke highly of Ali and the Prophet's family.
It's amazing how these debates, these different interpretations, can still be controversial today.
It really highlights the need for humility, right?
Yeah, for recognizing that there are multiple perspectives.
We should remember those core values.
Yeah.
Compassion, justice, unity, instead of getting lost in those sectarian debates.
Absolutely. Speaking of Ali's virtues, there's a hadith that really stuck with me. The Prophet said, Ali is to him like Aaron was to Moses.
Powerful comparison.
It is. Now, some might see that as putting Ali above the other companions.
But that's not what the hadith is saying, right? It's not about ranking them.
It's about that special bond between the Prophet and Ali.
Exactly. A bond built on shared experiences, trust, love. And the comparison, it just shows how unique Ali's role was.
But it makes you wonder, what was Ali's intended role? I mean, was he meant to be a successor, a guide for the community after the Prophet?
It's a complicated question, one that's been debated for centuries. And it's important to remember, honoring Ali, it doesn't mean diminishing the other companions, like Abu Bakr.
Right. Each played a crucial role in those early days.
They did.
But Dr. Suleiman also warns against getting too caught up in the political side of Ali's life.
Right, because it can overshadow his spiritual depth.
Like that hadith where the Prophet says, whoever loves me loves Ali, and whoever hates me hates Ali.
Powerful stuff.
It's like their destinies were tied together.
Yeah. Loving Ali is an extension of loving the Prophet and his teachings. And hating him, it's rejecting the Prophet's message.
It makes you think about the need for unity, for brotherhood within the Muslim community.
Absolutely. It challenges us to confront those prejudices we might have.
And remember, this is a man who faced those prejudices, those conflicts, head on, even within the Muslim community.
If it meant standing up for truth and justice.
He never backed down. Starting from that night, he slept in the Prophet's bed.
Yeah. The courage to put himself in danger time and again.
It reminds me of the Battle of Badr.
Oh, here we go.
Dr. Suleiman shares a hadith about that battle where the Prophet looks at Abu Bakr and Ali and says, one of you has Gabriel with him and the other has Michael.
Two of the most powerful angels fighting alongside them.
It really shows the significance of that battle, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just armies clashing. It was a fight between right and wrong.
It was. And that divine intervention, it underscores the importance of both Abu Bakr and Ali to be singled out like that. It shows the level of trust and authority they had.
Which brings us to an important point. Acknowledging Ali's virtues, his closeness to the Prophet, it doesn't take away from the other companions.
Exactly.
It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about appreciating how each companion contributed to early Islam.
Like different facets of a diamond, each beautiful and valuable.
And that's what makes studying early Islam so fascinating.
It is. It's such a rich tapestry. These incredible individuals, their strengths, their weaknesses, their triumphs and struggles.
We've seen so much of that in Ali's life. His upbringing, his loyalty to the Prophet, his bravery, his spiritual depth. It's been quite a journey.
It has.
But what would you say is the essence of his story? What's the one thing people should take away? If I had to sum up Ali's story in one word, I think it would be love. His love for Allah, for the Prophet, his family, the community. It just seems like that drove everything he did.
I think that's a really good point. It wasn't about power or ambition for Ali. It was about living a life of service, upholding justice, speaking the truth, and spreading that message of Islam.
And it's a message that still resonates today, right? I mean, people all over the world, they're still inspired by Ali. His courage, his wisdom, that dedication to justice, it's timeless.
It is. His life really shows you what the human spirit is capable of. Striving for good, standing up for the oppressed, living a life that has meaning, that has purpose.
We started this deep dive asking how intertwined Ali and the Prophet's lives really were. And wow, they were practically inseparable. It's amazing how much we've covered.
Yeah.
His early years, that incredible relationship with the Prophet, his virtues, even some of his controversies around his legacy.
It's been fascinating. I hope this encourages you to learn even more about him.
Oh, for sure. And that what-if question just keeps coming back to me. What if the Prophet had adopted Ali? How would that have changed things?
Right. Would it have made his claim to leadership stronger after the prophet's death? Could it have stopped some of the conflicts that came up? It's hard to say.
It really is. But what we can say is that Ali ibn Abi Talib was an extraordinary man. A warrior, a scholar, a leader, a man of deep faith.
His story is a testament to how powerful Islam is and to the impact Prophet Muhammad had, an impact that lasts to this day.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring. Dive deeper into those sources, look at things from different angles. Let Ali's life inspire you on your own journey. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.